and welcome to
Wisdom
for
Menopause and Beyond.
Wisdom for Menopause and Beyond. And it's a bit of a strange one that we thought about today, that we were just chatting. And we're going to talk about seagulls.
We're going to start with seagulls. We're going to see where it goes.
We'll see where it goes. It was just, they're universally disliked, and for lots of reasons. And we were just talking about this for no good reason. And I just said, I love seagulls. They're my absolute favourite bird. I just find them encouraging. I sail a lot, and when you're 3 or 4 days off land and you're perhaps a bit frightened or a little bit uncertain whether you're going to make it, from nowhere comes this big powerful bird, and it sits in the most torrential seas, and it just floats on the top of it, and it's around, and it's almost, come on, I can survive this. And I just think, if I can survive it, and I have a feeling of not being alone, and I see this strength that's kind of a bit out of proportion, I think, in a different world, in a little fishing village where it's nicking your chips. I get that. Well, but I just see this strength and determination and that survival. And I just see it. And it also makes me so happy when I hear a seagull, because I know I'm near the sea. Or I know that I'm safe. So I find them really reassuring, which is a very strange thing.
I know. So I think that I was just interested in you saying that and having that kind of positive reaction to it. And I think, I was in St Ives the other week, and we did see a mobbing. There was a guy, he just had his chips, and there was a concerted attack.
Yes.
It was like orca circling. And there was 3 or 4 of them, and they got the chips on the ground, and then the chips were disappeared.
Yeah.
And he was like, ooh, and they did. I was thinking, so they've learned to act together and all that kind of stuff. Particularly St Ives. St Ives, if you ever go there, that is, you do, you're having to cover your.
Anyway. I do the same things like that. So yeah.
But and I've actually seen people. There was a case a few years back, I think, in Salcombe, where a guy shot one because he was so fed up with it. I don't know whether it was crapping on his car, whether it was kind of doing that lovely call they have early in the morning. And they're bloody noisy, or there was probably one that was, anyway, and he got prosecuted for it, and he got, because they're protected birds, because a lot of them are actually, endangered. There's quite a lot of the breeds of seagull that are kind of, reducing. So there's all that kind of thing about it.
It brought a couple of things up in that. First of all, we're taught to never feed them, never look at. In other words, they are terrible, and as a group, we are told to hate them, and from that reason people pick up that. So it was like this slightly bigger issue of what do we really think, as opposed to what we've been told to think, if you like the group think.
So group think and what is our individual think. But I also think that the other thing it brought up for me was, you can have anything that could be hated, but some people could love them.
Yes.
So it's not about the thing in itself. It's not about the seagull intrinsically. It's about, what is your attitude? What is your experience? So for you, the seagull was a positive thing because you're in the middle of the ocean.
Strength and survival.
Yeah, and I might actually make it through, even though we've got no water and no food, and we can't see the land and the rest of it. So, and for a lot of people, they're just an inconvenience. And I have to say, when I go out there and they cracked all over my car, I am less than generous in my thoughts towards those seagulls.
And I think it is that we tend to have that something is bad or something is good. And I think we're very, and I think we're living in a very polarised world, like with, this is not the forum for politics and things, but it is without doubt, wherever you stand, you're either right or you're a bad person. Or you're right, or you're an evil person, or you're right. And it doesn't matter whether you're this side of the fence or this side of the fence. And I think we get that with religion, and we get it with politics.
Politics, definitely.
And definitely we get it with, in my world, with holistic medicine.
And science.
And
who would have thought it? Science is supposed to be science. It's supposed to be just the way that it is. But the interesting thing that people don't realise is science changes. because they do experiments and they find out things.
Science is only hypotheses that they then
try and prove.
Well, they try and prove, but it actually just brings up more disproof that they keep following the piece of string.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, I think that's what it brought up. So that it started with seagulls. So we ended up in this philosophy.
And we're like, oh yes, wow.
Actually, it's where we are, that we shape the world from our inner life. Whereas we tend to feel ourselves being battered around by the reality of external world.
Yeah.
Whereas actually the external world is many things and we can experience it at many levels, which is where people like Wayne Dyer, like I think of his name, the Power of Thought, and these sorts of books that come through, they sort of saying, still yourself and see your reality, rather than keep looking at I am bounced around by things.
Yeah, and I guess it's interesting because it's almost like the course that I met Rod on, and the ISO experience, and they talked about being at the effect of. So something happens and you're not even looking at what you're having a reaction to it, which is maybe nothing to do with
that
anything. And they used to use this example of the facilitator would give somebody a marker, and he would say, here's the event, and one was like, give him a marker, and he'd go, thank you. And then the next one, he goes, somebody give him a marker, and he'd go, what's that, and then the other one was, oh my god, it's a marker, it's my favorite color. So it's like there's no difference in this thing.
No,
it's how you react, how you make it up, how you decide it's going to be.
In fact, something very similar happened when I was on a completely different place, that somebody had a hand with a wedding ring on. I went, oh, Nelson Boone, it's love, eternal happiness. And someone else went, prison. So it was kind of like, a wedding or a marriage represents different things. But I think we've become very of a blame culture.
Yeah.
Where we blame that external event.
It is making me feel like this.
It is making me.
No, you are making me feel
whereas
like this.
you can actually go, this is my freedom as a seagull. And you go, I think I'll avoid that. Thank you very much. So I think it was just that moment of thinking, you can make whatever you want in life. And it comes back to that power of thought, or whatever it is, that you have the power over that moment to love or hate something.
I know. And if it's waking me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, doing its thing, I'm thinking super soaker, actually, is what I'm thinking, actually. Just do that. But it is that, and you're quite right. If that's what's happening every morning, that the bloody seagulls are doing that, particularly at the moment, because it'll be the teenage ones kind of going, and you just leave home and get your own fish.
But I think it's just nice to sort of remember we have huge agency. That our society has at the moment in a place where we almost have no agency and are responding, but we always have agency.
I know, and I am going to mention politics just for a moment, because what I think is going on at the moment, in my experience, is that people kind of feel, I can't do anything about it, so it's not worthwhile, all of them are the same. And I'm thinking, that's quite an interesting place to be. That I know it's only once every 5 years you get to put your X in the box, but that's about as much as you get. But people are saying, oh, it's not even worth me voting because I don't do that. So I'm thinking that links to that lack of agency. People have kind of got this impression that it's all awful and you can't do anything about it. Same thing happens with climate change. We're all going to hell in a handbasket, and we might as well just also keep on doing those things.
Things like school and so on. It's just awful. My child has a terrible time. There's nothing I can do except wait. Well, so I think, we could put the hand, those sort of tentacles right through. That I think this is the discontent that people have, is they have no agency. And this is the discontent that they're blaming here rightly, here wrongly, wherever it happens to be.
Where the blame goes. So rather than looking at, actually, I could just change my attitude towards this.
Actually, I think it starts with us. And I think just keeping a very close eye on what agency at least even you know, you can't change what's happening, but you can definitely change your approach to what's happening.
And in fact, that's all you can change.
And that's all you
can only change your own results.
So we're going to leave you with
there we go. So we started from seagulls, and we've got all the way to.
So every time you think of a seagull, think of politics.
Yeah, or
don't
actually, no, but just what you know, agency. I'm in charge. Yeah.